Hello guys, my name is SoulArts and welcome to another video. I wanted to discuss the end of RWBY because it's a topic I see so many people cover and I think they all cover it wrong. So, what do I mean? I mean, everyone who covers this topic says things like, we have to defeat Salem, or Team RWBY are going to become maidens, or even something like Team RWBY is going to seal and kill Salem. And I want to say that I think all of these are wrong and just bad story-wise. Some of these decisions don't make sense, some of them feel lackluster, and others just have better options. So how do we end RWBY if none of these are the real answer? Well, I think I have one. I've always shied away from sharing my writing for this series because I wanted to be a writer and put my ideas into RWBY itself, but as of recently my morals have kind of shifted. So I want to share what I've thought about the decisions that need to be made to defeat Salem and just end RWBY. But first, I want to talk about why the other endings I mentioned earlier are bad and just don't work or feel lackluster or just things of that nature. We have to defeat Salem by killing her. This is a false statement. You don't have to defeat and kill Salem for good. It just doesn't happen. Even in the series, it states you can't kill Salem. Ozpin hasn't succeeded. Team RWBY hasn't succeeded. Maidens haven't succeeded. So how does one put Salem down for good? Well, you can't. The series has made it clear you can kill her as many times as you want. She will always come back. She isn't like Alucard where her number of resurrections has a set amount. She is immortal and no relic, person, or thing is capable of undoing that curse. Only the gods themselves. So no, you can't just kill Salem and end the series. First, you have to get past her immortality. Now, how do you do that without involving the gods? Well, we'll talk about that later. For now, next example. Team RWBY are going to become maidens and defeat Salem. Now, as much as I hate the idea of Team RWBY becoming maidens and defeating Salem, I'm going to take a step back and not let arrogance guide my words. All of Team RWBY becoming maidens feels like a narrative cop-out. It's the biggest the characters need a power boost, so here, take it. Even if one person on Team RWBY becomes a maiden and the rest remain regular huntresses, the power gap and imbalance is far too strong and seems more problematic for scaling than anything. However, let's talk about Salem. Many people who say this claims that the maidens can kill her. How? As mentioned earlier, you can't kill Salem. She'll come back. No maiden has done it. Even when the maidens were kids who lived with her, the story showed no signs that the power of all four maidens combined could bypass her immortality. Statements that believe Team RWBY will become maidens and bypass her immortality seem weird. No maiden power has the ability to bypass immortality. They may become as strong as the Avatar or even stronger, but all the maiden powers allow you to do is use elements and magic with a power increase. Now you may argue, well, surely there's a magic that bypasses immortality. But remember, these maiden powers come from Ozpin and Salem. If Ozpin was the originator and has been doing this for millennia and still hasn't found a way to bypass her immortality, it will feel like a cop-out for Team RWBY to suddenly be able to do it, or any maiden for that matter. Team RWBY is going to seal Salem. As much as I used to be on board with this idea because it felt like the most plausible explanation, it also just doesn't make sense. There's been no evidence that anyone can be sealed in RWBY, so to create one out of nowhere sounds rushed. What about chaining her up somewhere no one can reach? Yeah, sure, you could restrict her movements and throw her into the ocean, but who's to say a Grimm doesn't break her free? And if things get rough, wouldn't she just be able to kill herself and come back to life to avoid it? Sealing her or restricting her makes the most sense narratively, but there's no way to do it. No one is strong enough and no magic lasts forever. Some people may say, well, Team RWBY can take her to the Ever After and seal her there. Well, that doesn't make sense either. One, Salem isn't allowed in the Ever After, but here's number two. Even if Salem was inside the Ever After, she would be the strongest person there. The Jabberwocker became afraid of Neo, beginning to do her bidding, so it wouldn't be strong enough to take out someone like Salem. And just like how Neo got a boost in her semblance, I'm sure Salem would get a boost in her strength, magic, or something else. Third, to get into such a state like RWBY or Neo, you must accept the tree and feel broken. And even then, Salem has never been shown distressed or broken enough to need the tree. Yes, she's been angry and full of rage, but never truly heartbroken. Okay, so what if Team RWBY just breaks her heart? They could, but just like RWBY chose to remain herself, Salem could just choose the same thing and now she comes back even stronger, like it's Perfect Cell or something. So sealing Salem just won't work, especially with the options we're given now. Alright, so So what about my options? How does one defeat Salem if I just try to debunk all of the other reasons? Well, the answer in my opinion is quite simple. I go off of what the story has already given us. The story states that if all relics are combined, the gods will come down to judge humanity once more. Depending on the results, humanity will either be reformed where the gods roam with man again or destroyed. The story also states that Salem wishes to die. Now, let's pause for a minute. Salem wishes to die, and the gods told her that if she truly wished to, all she had to do was respect the cycle of death and she would finally rest. So, why hasn't she done this yet? Well, I believe it's because she wants to prove the gods wrong, as seen from her backstory. She wants to divide humanity, become a god herself, and get the relics, not only to prove the gods wrong, but to have humanity and herself wiped out along with it. Salem isn't just trying to die, and she's not even trying to take humanity with her just because. All she wants to do is make a big point to the gods. If they give in, she wins. If they don't, she loses. It's a battle of pride, will, and ego. So, how do I counteract this? Well, I made some OCs for this, but to not get too deep into everything and just translate it into RWBY terms, I handled the story like this after the events of Volume 9. Ozpin focuses on training. Salem does the same while still having the advantage in taking over Kingdom. Eventually, Salem gets a new recruit. This person is a Faunus. I'm not gonna dig too deep into their backstory, but they hold a bit of weight for the Faunus people. Time passes and a big war happens in Vacuo, with many characters sustaining injuries or just flat out dying. During this fight, the girl Salem recruits manages to be talked into switching sides. However, Salem still succeeds and captures another relic, only needing one more to go. Ozpin realizes that with all the dividing Salem has tried to do, this is the most united people has ever been, with the world on his side. With the help of the events of Volume 8 and Volume 9, and with the traitorous character we'll call Crimson, not only do they have the hearts of many people in the world, but now they also have the hearts of many Faunus. So, the game plan changes. Instead of fighting for a relic and having more innocents die, they fake like they will, but eventually let Salem take it while others infiltrate her base to find the other relic. After this, a massive fight happens. The heroes seem to lose, and it's revealed that the heroes actually have the relics now, but they're also within the distance of Salem. She can run and track them down again, and they can't run or scout the relics in time, so they combine them and summon the brothers. The brothers come back and judge all of humanity. In doing so, they take note of the efforts of Ozpin, but they also judge him harshly. Realizing that many of the lives he was given, he wasted drinking and wallowing in sorrow, ruining someone else's life and family, and even getting numerous people killed, whether it be his lives or just others. They also judge Salem. Then they look at humanity as a whole and the efforts of the RWBY cast to finally realize that they have done enough and have fought hard. So, does Salem just get erased there? No, I think that's a terrible way to end the series. Salem being erased by someone else is pretty bad writing. It also just feels lackluster when she's the cause of everything. Instead, I leave the decision like this just so we could have some fan servicey fights and also just have a good ending. Due to the efforts of humanity, they technically passed, but due to the numerous failures of Ozpin and the numerous successes of Salem, the gods want to put the choice back into their hands once more. So they force them to have a final duel, stripping them of their immortality and reincarnation, just a flat out one-on-one brawl. Here, I think this is where the brothers can disagree on who gets to fight. Should it be Ozpin or should it be RWBY? I think at one point Ozpin would step up, aka Ozma, and Ozma will fight, and I think at one point he will lose, which leads RWBY to be the person that steps in. I think this would be allowed for entertainment's sake for the gods, and I believe the two will get into a fight where it's just them, but humanity is on the line, and eventually RWBY wins. Humanity is saved and the gods live amongst everyone once again. I have no clue if the girls would be reincarnated or if they stay the same, but now the world has just to exist and adjust to the gods living with them now. I don't know, it's different because everybody will have magic and there's no need for dust, but it's something. Now, some of you may have issues with my story and version, for instance, my OC Faunus. Why do they exist when Faunus issues are already settled? Well, in my personal opinion, just because the White Fang turned over a new leaf does not mean every Faunus is good. That's like saying because Black Lives Matter exists, that means all black people are good and could do no wrong. Or that if the movement ended tomorrow, black lives would stop mattering. The point being, one community, aka the White Fang, doesn't determine the entire world. Yes, it can represent a population, but it does not represent the entire planet. The events of the White Fang scratch the surface, but not the entirety of the Faunus struggle. This OC fixes that by having a similar hold on Faunus influence that the White Fang had. And because times are much more worse, you can get an even larger group of people for their side with their cause. This OC was also created to be a foil to Blake, someone who, in my personal opinion, doesn't do much for the story and needs some motivation to do better. Regardless, you might say, but humanity is already united, so this is stupid. But my counterpoint is that humanity isn't united in a good way. Humanity is united through fear, hope, and pressure. These things can extend to kindness and love, but they also can't. Even if humanity is united or isn't united at this point, you have to show it, while simultaneously doing all the other things like getting the relics, changing your plans, and so on and so forth. Does my version keep RWBY's themes? This is one of the most important things. So, in my personal opinion, I believe so. RWBY has always talked about being divided, finding yourself, and moving forward. I think all of these things encapsulate what the series is with the ending I thought of. I think it also gives fans the fight they want without feeling cheap. My ending incorporates things that the series has already done, not adding anything brand new to the table, just introducing them in new ways. Obviously, it's going to sound bad when you hear the summarized version and not the detailed version, but I still believe my ending is fair. It even accounts for pressure, intensity, and a fair fight. Salem plan fails because of humanity being united, but she's also still given a chance to have it all back. But that chance is only given by the gods, and she isn't outnumbered and forced to fight all of humanity. She just has to fight RWBY. It's a bit cliche, but it also uses strategy instead of brute force with the relics. It uses themes of uniting, dividing, and pushing forward, and it doesn't change the characters in major ways, nor does it feel unnecessary. I believe my ending does as little as possible while still giving good results, and all that's required for this ending to work is good execution. So the biggest question, what about the thing I said earlier about Salem and the gods, about this being about pride and ego? Well, I think this ending fully encapsulates it. Salem is focused on dividing humanity, so much so that she doesn't realize that they were uniting against her. Even then, when she's confident the gods will immediately wipe everyone out, she learns she's still someone to be judged. She wasn't the god in their eyes, nor in humanity. She had lost her people and was fighting alone. In her final moment, she's given a chance, a one-on-one duel against Ospen. She kills the person she thought she needed to, only for the other brother to want her to fight RWBY, the silver-eyed girl who's been deeply connected to her. In the end, she dies not as a god, not as a divider of humanity, and not as someone who proved anything to the gods. Yes, she dies, so she technically got what she wished, but there's a difference between dying and dying on your own terms, something I believe she wanted more than anything. As an ending, I think this is the best way to go about it. Are there other ways? Probably, but I think this is the best way without incorporating nonsense, writing yourself into a wall, or just using the power of friendship. The best way is to write something like this. It makes sense, it's simple, and in my opinion, it's effective. With that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you have any questions about my story or want to read some individual stories for how I've handled character arcs for RWBY, then click the link in the description. It has my interpreted backstory for each characters or just fixes for said characters and how I would handle the story if I was to introduce them for volume 10 through how many other volumes we have of RWBY. But yeah, like this video and do all the stuff every YouTuber tells you, hype the video, since that helps like small creators like myself, and that's a pretty cool feature. Anyways, I love you guys. I'll see you guys in the next video, and peace.